So we are on our last interview, and Miss Barbara Crump, she had logged in earlier, and I told her to log back in because she's in New Jersey, and so she's on the same time you're on, Rhonda.
Okay.
Eastern
so she
time.
Up late too.
Yeah. Yes. So, Miss Crump, can you bring your camera down so we can only see your nose?
Okay.
And then bring it up a little bit. Okay, up a little. Right there. Okay. Welcome. Welcome to Black Authors Matter TV.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. I'm excited. Yes,
we're
I got the time
excited
a little mixed up.
Thank you.
I got the time a little mixed up, but I'm okay.
It happens.
You're here. That's all that counts.
It happens. And I'll give you just a little history behind this. When we first started the show, we were both on Central Time. Rhonda and I were both on Central Time. So the time of the show is always posted the Central Time, and we just kept it that way. But now Rhonda's on the East Coast. So but
so now I'm sleepy. It's past my bedtime, but I hang in there on Tuesdays.
Okay.
So you have a memoir.
I do.
It's called From G.E.D. to Ph.D. And tell us about your book. Do you have a copy of your book?
I do. Can you see it?
Yes. It's kind of blurred out. Put it closer to you. Put it closer to you.
Put it like right here.
Like at your chest. There you go. There you go.
Okay. Like here.
PhD. No, we can see it really good now. So this is about your experience and how you didn't give up because you got a GED and you kept going.
Yes. And it's about my fear of, a lot of fear during my younger days. And as I grew, because I grew up in the 60s. So segregation was there. You had your colored and, your white entrance. That's how it was when I grew up. So my thing was, I wrote my book basically to impact other young people, like young women, teenage mothers, women of abuse, so sometimes it's the fear, everything stops and we don't do anything else. So my thing is I was pregnant at 13, dropped out of school in 9th grade. What do I know? Nothing, right? Because you sort of learn and grow through your teenage years and you build that confidence through those years. So I was a mother at that age, and it was very difficult to return to school because back then it was policy that if you're pregnant, you need to be married in order to return to school. So I didn't get to do that.
Oh, you had to be married to return to school?
Yeah.
Wow.
Wow, I didn't. That's a new fact. I didn't know that. Where did you?
What year was that?
This was 68, 67, okay. 68.
And where were you?
In Virginia, in the country.
Okay, all right.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Well, I still didn't know. I had that's new information. I knew sometimes you couldn't return to school, that part, but I didn't know that you could if you got married.
Yeah, you could if you got married, but I did get married, and that didn't work out. So and we talk about 13,
women. I mean, that's really too young to get married.
Yes, it was.
Whoever you're liking at 13 is generally that's.
If I had married who I had a crush on at 13, that would have been a terrible life.
Well, you know what? It was. It was a terrible life.
Oh no!
But you sort of go through life to learn, right?
Yeah, well, that's true. It's a learning experience, but yeah,
absolutely. And then going through abuse and all of that. So I've been through it all that women go through and suffer through. So I'm saying, okay, let me just tell my story. Maybe someone will read this and say, oh my goodness, I can do this. not the piece of, but
No.
there's a purpose. There's a
Right.
purpose,
Mm-hmm.
and basically I had to learn to read because ninth grade, that was it. So what do you know in ninth grade? So I had to learn to read, and I wasn't rural birth because I grew up in the country. So this
Right.
little small integrated, not even integrated community is, this is your family. This is your friends that you grew up with, right? So it was a little difficult.
I'm sure it was.
Yeah.
Now,
So
were you still living at home with your
go ahead.
parents though? Or when you got married, you moved away from home?
I moved into I moved into my husband's mother's home.
Okay.
Wow.
Yeah. So I
Okay.
lived with my mother. We lived with my mother for about a year, and then we moved out. Yeah. So,
Okay.
but that didn't work out. But you know what? It was a good thing because as I journey along, I think every young woman or every needs a mentor. I never had a mentor until I met my husband that I have now, that we've been together almost 50 years.
Oh, okay. I
Oh,
thought you had
wow.
the first.
Yeah, this
Okay.
is second. This is the second
Oh,
husband.
wow. 50
Yeah.
years. Well,
So
congratulations.
That's
thank you.
wonderful.
So he sort of gave me direction. He's like, what are you going to do? I said, I don't know. Because he said, well, why don't you go back to school? Why should I do that? I'm saying to myself. And all of this fear is just there. So I'm like, okay, let me just go take my GED, right? I will go back. I went to college because community college, if you get 24 credits, you can get your GED. But
Right.
the fear of learning this sort of stopped me. So I just didn't go back. And he said, okay, then just go take the test. So I did that and I passed the test. I surprised myself.
Yeah.
I'm like, whoa, yes.
Did you
And then
think it
from
was a
that
fear
day
of
on,
learning, or do you think it was a fear of failure?
it could be a fear of both because being around people who I thought knew more than I did. You know what I'm saying? It's like
Yes.
I feel
Yes.
so inferior
Okay.
in relation to those people, And a lot of these people were younger people. I'm like, wow. So I did get my GED, it did well, and I went directly to a 4-year college. So I'm like, oh my God. Yeah, I'm like, what do I do? And I'm like, Spencer, what do you think my career would be? Because I didn't know any nurses. It's like that was not, you go to the doctor, but you had no mentor in that healthcare. So I didn't know anyone. So I'm like, okay. This is why don't you become a nurse? Why? He said, because you care about people. I'm like, that's something. So that's where my journey led. But it was a lot of fear in between that. So I would always step back. It's the fear, the persistent feeling insecure, the lack of self-esteem, all of that was there, So I just needed to put this in a book to help me to be the best that I could be and show others that, you may have bumps in the road, but that doesn't stop you from following your dream to be where you want to be in life, right?
Right.
So I've had a lot of bumps in the road. Yes, but you do need someone in your corner to sort of guide you. So I do that now. I mean, even getting my PhD, I'm like, I don't believe this. I'm a doctor. How did I get here? How did I do that? So looking at the fact that I am a provider, I'm a nurse practitioner. I have my PhD in nursing research. So that's been my world. As a mother, I have 3 kids, 12 grandkids, and
Wow.
four great grands. So God has
Oh.
been good. God has been good. Yes.
Well, I can tell your family is totally proud of you because I'm looking at all of these comments coming in. Regina says, I'm proud of you, Mom. Maria Green, Dr. Crump, I'm so proud of you. Michael Crump, love you, Granny. You are such an inspiration. So, I mean, it's great that you shared your story because you're touching people you probably didn't even realize you were going to touch with your story.
Yes, that is so true. So true. And just even I teach nursing, I teach health assessment. So I share my story with those new students there's students that's coming in, and I tell them if you do the work, you will succeed. But if you don't do the work and put the time in, what are you going to do? You're going to fail, right?
Right.
So you got to do the work, and that's what I sort of push with my students. And I have students. I'm like, I have students. So I'm excited. Yeah.
So it sounds kind of like you can't believe your own life in some ways. Like,
that imposter syndrome?
Yeah.
Imposter syndrome is real, but
yes,
I don't believe you have any reason to have it.
I'm like, oh, yes.
So where did you go to school for your different degrees?
Okay. I went William Patterson here in Wayne, New Jersey. So that was the bachelor's program. And I was amazed with that because you know what? The nursing program was really booked up and they weren't accepting anyone. So I took all my prerequisites. I went, I gotta wait before they accept me. So that next semester I was accepted. I could not believe it. It's like God just opened that door and said, there you go.
Well, you had to make a step. People say if you make one step, he'll make two. So
yes,
but you have to make a step. So then did you get a master's or was it like a 5-year program for the PhD where you got them both together?
No. This was a bachelor's. This was a bachelor's of science in nursing. Right.
Okay.
So the thing is, it was 160 students that started out in this bachelor's program. 60 students graduated, and I was the only Black student, and 2 Hispanics. Yeah. So that was exciting, and then I started to work, and that's my registered nurse degree. So I started to work as a registered nurse, and I loved that. But still, there was fear there, dealing with patients. I love the patients because I care about people, but the doctors and the nurses, but I was dealing with that. So I sort of just, okay, I went in, I prayed, I can do this. And I did that. Okay. So and I got a job at the Veterans Hospital as a nurse, registered nurse. And that was exciting because I got to know who I was there. And the doctors were so excellent. They empowered me to do other things. So I went back to St. Peter's University, which is at Englewood Cliff, for my master's. And I became a nurse practitioner. So that was exciting. But I just never stopped. It was like I could not put this down.
Like, that's what I was going to say. It's so interesting to me that you went from just saying that you wanted to get your diploma to going to get a degree. And then you said, no, I'm not going to stop here. I'm just going to go ahead and get my master's degree. And then I'm not going to stop here. I'm going to do the craziest thing ever and get my PhD.
Yes.
I asked myself the whole time I was going through my doctoral process, I kept asking myself, why am I putting myself through this? I don't need this degree, but I keep going. Why am I doing this? And so I always say it's a crazy thing to go for a doctoral degree, but you just kept going. Do you think that you just started to get a little addicted to education after you realized you could actually do this?
Yes, I did. Yes. my children, they sort of grew up on me and I'm studying. Yes. And it was amazing because, when I went in for my PhD, I had that problem. It's like, okay, I knew what I wanted to do. So I went to Phoenix, and that was convenient for me because I could work on my PhD after work, 10 o'clock at night. Mm-hmm. And so I just continued to do that. And when it came to my comprehensive, I passed it the first time. I'm like, okay, okay. So it
Well,
has
it
been.
it helped that you had a lot of practical experience too, I'm sure.
Yes.
Yes, yes. Because I graduated in 87 with my bachelor's degree.
Okay.
And at 64, I got my PhD. So yeah.
So it's
Yeah.
never too late. You know,
Never,
you can
never too
always be
late.
learning. You can always be
Absolutely.
growing. And,
Right.
you know, as long as your mental capacity is there,
Mm-hmm.
then the opportunity is there. And normally it is. It's just a matter of the desire, you know, how
That's
strong
true.
is the want to part.
Mm-hmm. And I'm at
Right.
this
Right.
point where I should be retired. But you know what? I started so late. I don't want to retire. Like, yes, it's like I'm just starting out, you know?
Well, they need people with some wisdom and
Yeah.
experience in a lot of these
Yeah.
positions.
All
So it's
right, I like
helpful.
that.
Yeah. And then you're
So,
teaching other nurses.
yeah,
I'm,
yeah, but
I'm,
what I was gonna ask though, you mentioned that you share your story with your students, and of course you shared your story with your family. But how else are you sharing your story? How are you going? Are you visiting schools to share your story? Are you doing book signings? What are you doing to not only promote the book but to share your story and to continue to inspire people?
well, you know what? I haven't really did any book signing as of yet. You know, everything's been going on, and I have this book, and this is all new to me.
Okay.
So what I'm doing, I'm a mentor. So I mentor other students. So I do that. I also, in the process of everything, I want to give back to the field of nursing. So I develop, me and my family, my children, my husband develop a scholarship for nursing, African American nursing students. And this is
Nice.
the thing, yeah, and they need to look at dignity care at the end of life, because that's my passion, you know. So they
Okay.
need to like do an essay on dignity care. How would they deliver dignity care at the end?
Okay. Well, how do people find out about the scholarship? Because I have a book about going to college debt free where I list scholarships.
Oh,
And
okay.
I would
But they
love to
would need
list
to
your
right now.
scholarship.
Right now, it's at William Patterson because they were my first,
Oh,
to
it's
give
a
me an
school
opportunity.
specific.
Yeah, but I'm thinking about how can I open it up to everyone. And
Okay.
I'm
Yeah,
yeah.
I don't have school specific scholarships in there. It's for people it's for anybody basically that can apply if they meet the requirements, but it's not
Oh,
school specific.
okay. See, I don't know too much in reference to that, but you can just email me so that I can see what I need to do. Because I
Oh, okay. Well,
was thinking about I wanted to bring it out.
if your scholarship is available to, it doesn't have to be nationwide, but at least it has to be regional, because the book is national. It goes everywhere. So
Okay.
I try to include scholarships that anybody can apply for if they meet the requirements.
I like that. Yes.
Anybody
That's
geographically. So, because it's about raising the money to go to school and not having a lot of
Right.
debt. That's really, and that's my
absolutely,
passion,
absolutely.
or one of my passions. I have.
Yeah. My passion is to empower other young African American in the field of nursing.
Okay. Yeah,
Yes.
nurses are really special people because I just recently, my husband last week had a pacemaker insertion, and
Mm.
the nurses, and I've only been in the hospital once. That was to give birth, and that was a C-section. But my nurses were amazing. That was what I remember about really being in the hospital, is how great the nurses were. And the same with my husband. It's really the nurses that do the work.
You're
Doctors come
absolutely
in
right.
for a few minutes and sign off. But the nurses are really the ones who take care of you. And
It's
it's a
so
special kind of person that does that, because I thought I wanted to be a nurse when I first went to college. And it didn't fit my personality. And the first day I had to be in the hospital with an actual patient was when I quit.
Oh,
It was my sophomore year, first semester. I said, I can't take care of a stranger. I can't touch strangers.
Wow.
So I really admire people who just have a heart. And you can tell when you go in, you can tell the nurses. Really, I've had just amazing encounters, but you can tell it's genuine, because that's not something you can really do and fake. You can't.
That's true.
That is so true. Yes, yes.
You have to actually.
When I retired from the VA, but those patients, those veterans, a lot of them, they're my friends on Facebook. It's like,
yeah.
So yes.
Yeah. So I'm thank you for pursuing your passions and not giving up and giving back to
and for sharing
your
your story, because there's somebody out there who's like, it's too late for me to go to school, or I can't do this, or I'll never be able to do that. And you have dispelled all of those excuses. So
right, and you got pregnant at 13. So right. I mean, all of the things that people will say, this is a stereotype, or this is an example of a person who can't succeed, and that's just not true.
That is not true. Yes. But the thing is, I really stress, you've got to do the work and you've got to want to do it. Yeah. Because I remember no sleep at all. It's like, okay, so, and I was blessed. I mean, I have my husband who sort of helped with the kids. So, yeah. Right. Well, he did everything with the kids. Yeah. So my big story.
Marrying well is helpful.
Yes. And you know what gets me with him? He exposed me to a world that I really did not know, because he was a television director and he worked for CBS. So I used to go with him to these parties, and I would not say a word because I was so embarrassed that I would say the wrong thing. So he's opened up a whole new world to me, and I am like, okay, yes.
Okay, well, you ain't got you a good one, huh?
And that's especially good, especially after your first one was disastrous. Yes. And I've been there. My first one was disastrous, but you live and learn, and you move on, and then you meet the right person. I've been married as long as you. That is true. I'm not there, but 30 years I've been married. 31 actually this year. This month it was 31. So if you meet,
so you'll get there. You'll get there.
Yeah, keep living. If we keep living,
that's right.
You have to stay. You have to. The older you get, you have to be mindful of your health. And as a nurse, you know that.
Yeah, so absolutely, absolutely. The best thing: walk 30 minutes a day.
Yeah,
that's the best thing.
Drink plenty of water.
Absolutely, absolutely. Yes, yeah.
Yeah. Staying hydrated becomes really important, especially as we age. It's important the whole time, but as we age, it becomes more important.
Absolutely.
But I did have an online book review, which I got 5 out of 5. I'd sent different people. Yeah, so that I was excited. I was excited with the reviews. Yes.
That's good. When did the book
really
come
made
out?
a story. Oh my God.
When did the book come out?
This is in 2022.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it came out last year, because you didn't put that on your paper, so I wasn't sure if it just came out. But when is this your first book?
My first book.
Your first book. Okay. So
are you gonna write more books?
Well, you know what? I'm thinking about that. But I'm thinking about looking at where I'm at now. This was where I was, right? So I've grown a lot, and I walk in confidence. Everything is like, and I have this book, Owning Your Greatness. Right? So I read that, and you know what? I do own it. It's like, so it's amazing.
Well, I have put the link to your book in the chat for anybody who wants to support the book. So go to Amazon. I just posted the link in the chat. Support this book, support this phenomenal woman.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so, so much. This has been, it's amazing. I'm like, thank you.
See, you did something else. Now, how have you had any other interviews about your book?
No, this is my first.
Okay.
But I did have what do you call that? They did it's a write-up. I got a write-up.
Okay. All right.
With then the Chicago Journal. Yeah, that. But this is my first podcast.
Okay. All right. Well,
yes.
What we do is we have a conversation with our guests. So it's no pressure. And we want the audience to know about you and your motivations and what led you to write the book and how that's going. So that's what we focus on. We focus on the guests and what inspired them to write their books and this personal stuff that's helpful to people. You know, a lot of times people need to hear that somebody else has gone through something. Because a lot of times you think you're the only one, you know, who's gone through something.
Who's going through it or been through it, right?
Right.
So no, you're not.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So it's good to hear from someone who's overcome some challenges and
absolutely. Absolutely. Well, show us your book one more time. Show us your book one more time. There it is.
Very good. Very good.
Okay.
From G.E.D. to Ph.D.
Yes.
So Barbara, thank you for being a guest on Black Authors Matter TV. And I hope you continue to inspire people with your story, with your amazing story.
Thank you so, so much. Thank you.
Thank you.
You ladies have an amazing night.
Okay.
You too.
Okay. Bye-bye.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Good night.